Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live, like now, post a new video. This is the second time I've attempted to do this video, so I'm hoping it's going to be fine. Right, I do apologise, but last time YouTube froze my video, so I'm back again. So, just in case you didn't know who I am Sandra Burmy. I'm author of this beautiful Asexual Perspectives 47 Asexual Stories book. And this book was the first book I published for asexuals in 2017. It took me a year to write the book. And basically, this Asexual Perspectives book is an absolute amazing book for anyone who's new to asexuality, doesn't understand the asexual spectrum, or who has loads of burning questions about the truth about asexuality. You know, there's a lot of myths and stereotypes about asexuals, such as all asexuals never masturbate, well, some do. Such as all asexuals never watch porn, well, some do. Such as BDSM, asexuals would never participate in, but some asexuals do. They just don't have the intercourse usually. And so it's very, 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 very interesting read, because it also breaks down the difference between sexual attraction, sexual desire, and arousal, which a lot of people class as a whole the same thing together, but it actually isn't. So this is a great book if you're just new to asexuality, want to understand the asexual spectrum more, but without just being given textbook definitions of it. You want to see an overall view of a lot of range of asexuals to get a really good idea and flavour for how asexuality is in the real world. And so this was my first book that took me a year to write. Now, I've been working on a second book for asexuals called Asexual Guide to Sex. I started writing this book in June 2019. Now, when I'm recording this live, it's October 2020. So it's actually been over a year. And I have to thank all the asexuals that are taking part and have took part in the Asexual Guide to Sex book, because some of them I've been emailing backwards and forwards for over 6 months, because of all the editing of their very personal stories. In my new Asexual Guide to Sex book, there's about 19 stories, including my own. And each person in the book has had sex before. And so I got loads of people, you know, like saying to me, why are you writing a book about sex for asexuals? Well, if you heard what I just said, every actual asexual in the book has had sexual intercourse before. And it's a huge myth that no asexuals have sex. And it's kind of illogical as well, because we are a recorded 1% of the population, which is basically meant to be 1 in every 100 people, right? And if we look at the great world, then obviously there's thousands of asexuals globally. But if you think about it just being 1 in every 100 people you're likely to meet, then yeah, there's great scope for meeting people who are asexual. But if you don't actually see that many people on a daily basis, there's less chance and less opportunity for that, right? The more people we see, the more we're likely to come across asexuals. And with this in mind, when you are looking to date or get into a relationship, if you're an asexual person, especially a romantic asexual, you kind of really crave that romance, really crave that togetherness, really crave that physical closeness without the intercourse usually. And so you know, you will be drawn to people who aren't asexual, as well as people that are asexual. You know, you'll be drawn to sexuals. And some asexuals will end up in relationships with sexuals. And some asexuals may feel that they have to have sex, or they want to have sex to please their partner, or just have sex out of curiosity, you know, or they just want to try it for the heck of it, you know. So there's a multitude of reasons why asexuals might want to have sex. And some people are like, why the hell are you writing a book about sex for asexuals? Because asexuals need help with this, right? It's something that doesn't come naturally to asexuals. We don't naturally usually know what to do with in regards to sex. You know, there's a lot of asexuals that want to try, or that are actually in relationships with sexuals, and they don't really understand what to do with their arms. They don't really understand what to do with their legs. They don't really get the whole sex thing, because it's not natural for them. And so they kind of feel like they're way out of their comfort zone. They want some help and support, which the Asexual Guide to Sex book is. Now, as one of the people in the book put it, there's a story called Am I allowed to give it away yet? I won't give away the name of the story, but there's a story in the book, and one of the people who's been interviewed for my book, they pretty much sum up the book in a nutshell, in the sense that is Asexual Guide to Sex the missing puzzle piece? But instead of saying is Asexual Guide to Sex the missing puzzle piece, this person said Asexual Guide to Sex is the missing puzzle piece. And it really is. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it means that Asexual Guide to Sex is the book that everyone's been waiting for years of their life but never realised it. It's a book that shows and proves categorically, not scientifically, but through the experiences of real life asexuals, that asexuality does exist. That it's very, very real. That there are people on this planet Earth that think, behave, and act differently and feel differently about sex to the rest of the general sexual population. Right? You can see through the stories how sex is viewed differently to them, how it feels to them, how their behavior is different, how their feelings are different. Asexual Guide to Sex is categorically the missing puzzle piece that therapists, counselors, other people need to know about. People in sex education need to know about it. It's the unspoken sexuality that everyone wants to hide, and the reason they want to hide it is because of all the advertising. Sex sells at the end of the day, and they get you hooked. They have to hook you in. I don't get hooked in by sex stuff. I don't watch movies with sex in them or TV programs or anything like that. You know, even if it was the best storyline in the world, if I had sex, I'm not interested, because I'm not interested in the sex. Right? People lure you in with sex to cover up for some other product like makeup or lingerie or whatever. It's like, I'm not interested. Right? But the Asexual Guide to Sex book is the missing puzzle piece. It's the bit that explains the reason why a lot of people actually don't want sex, are not interested in sex, not because they have a physical medical problem, not because they need Viagra to force themselves to have sex when they actually don't want to, not because they need their hormones tested or hormone injections. There are genuine people in the world that don't want to have sex, that are not used to having sex, that don't naturally feel like they need sex. And this is the missing piece that no one has been talking about for years. You know, asexuality has gone under the radar, right? And a lot of it is because the big companies are not going to want you to know, are they, that there's people who don't want sex, because that would stop a lot of things. Sex therapists, for example, if you don't need sex, right, sex therapists are kind of like going to be more out of a job, aren't they, or have less clients. Viagra, I mean, the amount of Viagra that's sold, I go to my local supermarket, it's got Viagra on the counter. It's like, for God's sake, just get someone who loves you without sex. You don't need to waste your money. Do you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. A lot of the time with erectile dysfunction anyway is because they're so anxious, nervous and worried about stuff in the relationship. And they feel too tense, or they've got outside things going on in their life, such as work problems and family issues. Right? And they don't feel relaxed enough to do a lot of that stuff anyway. So rather than forcing someone to do that type of thing and pushing themselves that something's wrong with them, if they're not having sex, you know, you need to be made aware that there are people who actually genuinely don't want sex, some of whom actually are impotent, and some impotent people aren't asexual. I'll just clear that up. There are a lot of impotent people that aren't asexual, right? They're impotent for whatever reason. But obviously some asexuals are impotent because they're just not sexually attracted to anyone. Some asexuals aren't aroused by anyone either, you know? They're either impotent or just can't get out because they don't experience the arousal and the attraction. Do you know what I mean? And it's natural for some asexuals to be that way, you know? But, you know, the Asexual Guide to Sex book is for those asexuals that are thinking about trying sex for the first time and they don't know what to do and they're apprehensive, or maybe even they've started and they still don't have a clue really what it's all about, you know? And they will, you know, can learn from different other people's who are asexuals experiences, you know? The reason I started writing the book in the first place is because one of my aromantic asexual friends, so someone who lacks romantic attraction and sexual attraction, they messaged me and said, Sandra, what if I wanted to try sex? What would I do? And I never ever expected this person to drop this message in my Facebook inbox. I was kind of like, oh, I didn't actually think about some asexuals might want to try sex. I was kind of thinking that all asexuals are not bothered about sex. And then when I looked through, started looking through different Facebook groups, different Facebook forums, I realised that, and different, places, I realised there was a lot of asexuals that are curious about sex, some that want to try it, some that have tried it and found it messy and they want to still know more about it because they kind of want to get it right. And so, this is how the book was born. But this book is not just an ordinary book. It can change the whole course of history because finally people can get a great understanding of how the mind of asexuals work, how we feel and think differently about sex. It's a missing puzzle piece that really psychologists need to know about, counselors need to know about, therapists need to know about, schools need to know about, teachers need to know about, everyone needs to know about, And it's been hidden for so long. For so long, we have been bombarded with sexual imagery. We've been bombarded with sexual adverts. We've been bombarded with a lot of sexual stuff, right? But we haven't, as asexuals, had our say on sex. I mean, obviously, in my Asexual Guide to Sex book, it's a sequel to this, if you like. So this is like the prequel. So this is basically, this does talk about sex in here. Talks about love, life, and sex in regards to asexuals and the asexual spectrum. So, this is a good prequel to it. So if you haven't already got this, I suggest you go and buy it now, but using the link down below, go and get that one. But, so this is an introductory. This talks about, like if the person's had sex before, how they feel about it, that type of thing. But the Asexual Guide to Sex is completely focused on all the different aspects of sex, body, mind, and soul, what you need to actually prepare for sex that no one talks about. People don't talk about holistically preparing yourself for sex. They're like, oh, let's just get it on, and sex is a very, very rigorous activity, and it's very emotional as well. It's very time consuming sometimes, depends if the person's really quick or not. But it is, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of emotions going on. There's a lot of maybe fear going on, maybe stress going on, maybe anxiety going on. And so it's important to really understand asexual perspectives of those that have had sex. Now, this talks about love life and sex. So this doesn't go into minute detail and specific details all about sex, because the Asexual Guide to Sex does. It has real life asexual sex stories and gives sex advice, sex and help, and sex guidance. And it's important if you're asexual to stay safe when having sex or even doing sexual activities, even if you don't want to do full intercourse. It's really important that you know what to expect, what might crop up, sexual scenarios that might happen, so you can keep yourself safe. An Asexual Guide to Sex is a book that asexuals shouldn't buy with a view that I'm telling them to have sex, because I'm not telling you to have sex. I'm saying don't have sex until you read this book. Please do not, because Asexual Guide to Sex shows you the good, the bad, and the fugly, which is fuck ugly, in case you didn't know, about sex. So there are asexuals in the book that have really been sharing their very intimate moments of when they first had sex ever, and how that's impacted their life and had a knock-on effect. Some asexuals in the book are still having sex and some aren't. So it's going to be very insightful and very interesting for you to actually see how asexuality works on a grand scale. Every person whose story you go through in the book, it's like an immersive experience, and you're in the mind of that person and you're feeling and experiencing what they're feeling and experiencing, and you're sensing what they're sensing. It's just incredible. When I'm reading other asexual stories, that's what it truly feels like to me, an immersive experience like no other. It's a bit like when you got surround sound and you're immersing yourself in surround sound, but instead you're immersing yourself in the sexual interactions and relationships of those in the book, And some asexuals, have reported back to me during at the end of our email editing, that they found the whole process very, very therapeutic, and they really thanked me for it, and it really helped them in their life. And then other asexuals, have had to relive some traumatic experiences, and kind of think about things they didn't want to think about, to help other asexuals. So the people that are in this book are like selflessly, sorry, I should say. No, they put a lot of effort into it and have selflessly, that's the correct word, selflessly given their time, energy, and effort and their past experiences shared to help other asexuals. Courageously, selflessly. They're amazing. So I want to thank everyone who's in the Asexual Guide to Sex book. I'm really excited because I did a lot more work on it today. I've started on my part of the book. There's just one more story that I need to finish with another person's, and a little bit of grammar I need to do on one of them as well. And so I'm really working through, I'm doing all the front bits now of the book and, working my way through what I need to get done. It'd be great if I could finish it by the end of November in time for Christmas. I'm really hoping that I can get it out for Christmas. It'd be absolutely amazing. But quality is the most important thing, I won't rush it just to get it out for Christmas and lower the quality. The quality of the book is outstanding. In terms of literature, it's literally a piece of artwork and it's incredible. So I feel really blessed that loads of asexuals have took part in the book. And, it is definitely a missing puzzle piece. It's a missing puzzle piece of sexuality as we know it. And I truly believe the book can change the course of history where asexuality and sexuality in general is concerned. Because people will be able to see there's actually something really different. This is real. It's not made up bull. It's actually totally real. And so that's why I'm so proud of each asexual that took part in it. It took them a lot of guts, because I literally share the good, the bad, and the ugly, And I had a publisher approach me who was interested in this book. But because I had traumatic stories as well as positive stories about sex, they didn't want to take it on because they wouldn't want the negative stuff. But asexuals don't want sex to be glorified. They don't need it glorified. They don't need to know every single good bit about sex. They need to know the damn truth. The good, the bad, the ugly about sex. That's what they need to know. Not the glorification of it, not the censored version of it. The truth. The truth. All of the truths. Nothing but the truth, So my books, because I self-publish under my own imprint of Quirky Books, are uncensored. They are literally showing you the raw, real reality and the truth. And I'm so proud to be able to do that, And that I wouldn't take these stories out. So publishing company wouldn't publish it. But they said I'm doing such a good job anyway. I've done such a good job of publishing this book. They actually originally approached me about this book. They said I've successfully published this book, so much so that they couldn't probably meet my marketing expectations. This is coming from a publishing company that's been going 35 years. So I'm really proud of all the achievements with this book already. It still sells well 3 years later. The link is down below in the description. And Asexual Guide to Sex book, I can't wait to get out. I can't wait to finish it. But I'm just enjoying the process at the moment of writing, which is my deepest passion of my life soul, and literally spreading the word of asexuality and literally just helping tons of people. Anyway, I thought I'd give you that update. The Asexual Guide to Sex book is going really well. I am back on the case again, and so I'm going to love you and leave you for now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share this video with anyone you think may benefit. Don't forget to hit that bell icon after you subscribe to get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. I love you lots. Take care. Bye bye.